develop an affection for each other.
To minister.
When I got myself ordained on January 1st, I thought I was helping out.
And after the reception,
A fraudulent wedding.
deception.
He refused to sign the marriage certificate.
Why didn't you sign it?
This is Judge Judy. James Potts is suing his former landlord, April McDermott, for car expenses and the return of his security deposit.
Judge, this is case number 64 on the calendar in the matter of Potts versus McDermott. Parties have been sworn in. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Mr. Potts, this case reads a little bit from your complaint and from Miss McDermott's answer as almost a mini-series. From what I gather, you rented a guest house on Miss McDermott's property. In what year did you do that, sir?
2019, Your Honor.
And you are a veteran.
Yes, ma'am.
And from what I gather from your complaint, the Veterans Affairs paid not only some of the rent, but also paid the security deposit for the first several months you were there. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
How many months did the VA pay rent?
They paid for June, July, August, September, and November.
June, July, August, and November. So the VA paid for 6 months.
That's correct.
And the security deposit.
Correct.
Just give me the month in 2019 that you moved in.
June.
June. And when did you move out?
I moved out February 4th of 2020.
So December and January, just follow me, were the only 2 months that you personally were responsible for rent.
That's correct.
Did you pay December's rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he pay December's rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you pay January's rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he pay January's rent?
No, Your Honor.
How much did you pay in January?
In January, I started paying the rent in December.
Just no.
Okay.
Tell me, Mr. Potts, let's not play with each other. You know, I'm smart.
Yes, you are.
May not be youthful and lithe anymore, but I am smart. How much did you pay for January's rent?
The total was about $900 because I started paying December's rent in November, and between
Oh, no,
November,
no.
I understand. I understand.
How much did you?
I did.
How much did you pay in January?
In January, I paid about $800, I believe it was.
How much did he pay in January?
$150.
Yeah. And you moved out in February.
February 4th.
And the total rent was $1,200 a month. So you paid $1,200 in December. So you paid a total in rent for this guest house of $1,350. Now, while you were there, two things happened while you were living in the guest house. First, you brought a friend over to visit you, and the friend that you brought over and the defendant developed an affection for each other and decided to get married. They asked you, because I assume they felt that you were the reason that they found each other, if you would get ordained as a minister so that you could perform the ceremony, and you could do that online. Also correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
In what month did you become an ordained person so that you could perform their wedding ceremony?
That was in January of 2020.
Just for my own purposes, would you explain the process to me, how that works? Do you have to fill out forms? Do you have to pay a fee? What do you have to do? And how did you find it?
I did a little bit of research, and I found Universal Life Church did online ordinations. You apply.
And did you do that?
I did that.
And did you get a certificate?
I did, Your Honor.
Do you have it?
I do.
I'd like to see it because that's part of her counterclaim. Okie dokie. And when did you perform the ceremony?
That was on January 23rd, Your Honor.
Also, in addition to doing this mitzvah of putting these two lovely people together, that means a good deed, putting these two people together, you also bought from the defendant a used car for $1,000. Also correct?
Also correct, Your Honor.
What kind of car was it?
A 2005 Chevrolet Classic.
So you bought a 15-year-old car from her?
Yes.
For $1,000?
Yes, Your Honor.
In what month did you buy the car?
I purchased the vehicle in August. Your Honor, if I may?
Yes.
In July, the vehicle was sitting undriven, and I noticed that the tags were expired, so I offered as a show of faith, because I'd had an issue with the car. It was disabled. I offered in a show of faith to pay for the registration, to make the registration current, so that she would allow me to rent the car from her.
Good faith. You ultimately purchased this car from her for $1,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's another part of your lawsuit. So you want two things. You want your security deposit back, which was $1,200. She acknowledges that she got the security deposit of $1,200. Her defense to that is you didn't pay the security deposit. The VA paid the security deposit, so you shouldn't get the security deposit back, even though there was no damage to the apartment. And you owed money for the month of January for rent, for which she used part of the security deposit. That's your defense to the security deposit portion, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Trying to simplify this mini-series so that it doesn't become a tome. The second part of your lawsuit is, while you bought this 15-year-old car that was being not driven with expired tags, you say that this woman is so misguided or damaged that she agreed to pay for any mechanical trouble you had with the car, and you had mechanical trouble with the car which cost you thousands, which you want her to be responsible for. That's the second part of your lawsuit.
My request for the repairs on the vehicle were in lieu of receipt of the title.
Did you give him a bill of sale? Did you give him a bill of sale?
I have the bill of sale, Your Honor. After I would refuse to give him the $1,200 back, he also refused to sign the marriage certificate. He wouldn't pick up the bill of sale or the title.
Just a second. Do you have it with you?
I do.
The bill of sale?
Yes.
Give it to him. Now get a title. Now you have the bill of sale. Could you put that bill of sale up there on the evidence desk so I can see it? Take down your ministry. Okay, that's dated September 20th, 2019. Okay, we're going to need some more specificity on that. You're going to have to put on that, Miss McDermott, the VIN number on the car. Do you have anything else? Do you have the title to the car? Are you the registered owner of the car?
Yes, Your Honor, I have the title. My mother was the registered owner, but she signed it over to me and also included a letter that she went with Mr. Potts to the DMV to pay the back registration so that the car would be not taken for unpaid registration, and he was supposed to turn the registration over to his name.
You want to give him the title to the car?
Yes.
Along with the note?
Yes.
Very good. Now he has all of that. You understand that?
I do understand,
Okay.
Your Honor.
And, Your Honor,
Perfect. And you what?
he drove the unregistered vehicle in my mother's name to a casino and received...
No, just a sec. Just a sec.
Okay.
Stop up. We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
Right now, I'm taking care of Mr. Potts,
Okay.
who his 2 months' rent that he should have paid for the 2 months that he was there is $2,400. He paid a total of $1,350, which means that he owes you $1,050.
Your Honor, I have a detail of what I paid for December and January.
Your Honor, if I may.
You're going to have to show me, sir, what you paid in total, because the VA paid up until through November. So it's December and January.
They paid a
December and January. No, they paid.
They paid a graduated amount. I was partially responsible for the rent from August, September, October, and November.
How much did you pay her?
My share was $300, $400, $500, and $600, I believe, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
No, Your Honor. In December, when they stopped paying his full amount, he was having a hard time paying the rent.
Just a second.
Paying the full amount of $1,200. As the months progress, they start paying less, and he starts paying a portion. December, they stopped paying altogether. He was struggling. We lowered the rent to $850. I gave him every 2 weeks when he got paid to pay $425. He did not follow through with that. I have the return of deposit here showing exactly what monies he owes and the total of what was used from the deposit.
Okay, now this is where you're in trouble, Miss McDermott. We are eliminating. He had $1,200 in a deposit. I'm eliminating the $60 cleaning fee. Rent owed on 127 not paid, $425. Per lease, extra money for an extra person, I'm not bothering with that. If he had somebody else living there and you let that happen, let it happen. And by the way, it couldn't have bothered you that much because you let him marry you in January, right?
Right.
Rent rebate to take money on a cruise that he did not use, came back on a cruise and borrowed money from family and friends. That's ridiculous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
While it may be true that the VA paid the security deposit, he's a veteran. More of a right to that money, certainly, than you do as a stranger.
James Potts says his former landlord, April McDermott, is withholding his security deposit and the title to a car he bought from her. April is countersuing James for an unpaid parking ticket and for performing a fraudulent wedding.
Okay, so he owes you $425 for rent. Deducting that leaves $785. You gave him back nothing. Is that right? You gave him back nothing.
No.
Okay, so you owe him $785 for his security deposit. Because while it may be true that the VA paid the security deposit, he's a veteran. I assume you're not.
No.
That was a benefit that he got. That between the two of you, he has more of a right to that money, certainly, than you do as a stranger.
Sure.
And the Veterans Administration may come back to you one day and say to you, sir, you owe us $785 from the security deposit that we paid for you. But right now, as between the two of you, it's your money.
Your Honor,
$785.
The representative for the VA told me that when I move out...
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
I just said that to you, and you can't tell me what the VA said to you. That's hearsay.
Okay.
I've deducted the rent that you owe her.
Okay, I have a detail. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Okay.
I have a detail of the monies that I did pay.
Go. Go.
It's on the bottom here.
What's on the bottom there?
For December, the rent that I paid on November 18th was
Now I'm
$400.
talking about for all the months. My share, $400.
Right.
Said you took $100, paid $300. Okay, $785. We're done. That's what you get. Now let's get to your counterclaim. Parking tickets. When Mr. Potts had the car, is your claim that he got 2 parking tickets that were your responsibility and or your mother's responsibility? Do you have proof of those parking tickets?
Yes, Your Honor. It was just one ticket,
How much?
$200.
Did you pay it?
No, ma'am.
You did not pay it.
No, ma'am.
Who paid it?
It is not paid.
It's almost a year old, and it's not for you anyway. It's in the name of Joyce McDermott. That's your mother.
My mother.
Well, that's unfortunate for your mother. $785. Now, the other part of your counterclaim is a fraudulent wedding. After this kerfuffle that you had with the defendant, Mr. Potts, about the rent, and I assume that back in late January or February there was a kerfuffle over rent, did you not sign?
I was offered by the defendant to trade the title to the vehicle for my signature. In the ensuing time frame, I did a little bit of research myself because when they had asked me to perform the ceremony, she told me that Richard would do the research and they would pay all the fees. So when I got myself ordained on January 1st, I thought I was helping out. And then after I had moved out and I was doing a little bit of research.
There were no fees.
There was a fee required by the County of San Diego for a deputy marriage commissioner for a day that I didn't find out about until I believe it was the end of March, well after the ceremony. So the fee of the $80 fee. So I could not legally sign the document.
Your Honor, he did not know that at the time. The marriage was in January and the document was never signed.
Yeah, I know it was never signed, but even if he signed it, it wouldn't have been legitimate, is what he's saying.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have an ethical and moral obligation not to extort something in exchange for signing the marriage certificate.
I was not extorting, Your Honor.
Why didn't you sign it?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Potts is of withholding his security deposit and the title to a car he bought from her.
Now, did you and your mate subsequently marry?
We are scheduled to marry again on November 13th of this year.
Where?
Las Vegas.
And you have that all set up?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. With somebody who is licensed to perform weddings?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have family and friends coming?
One daughter and son-in-law.
Was anyone there?
14 family members that came from Arizona and California. We all went on a cruise directly after the ceremony, and that's why the original was not signed that day.
Who went?
My fiance,
The plaintiff is plaintiff too?
and all of our family members. We paid for a cruise for 3 days to Mexico for everybody, 16 people.
Did you pay, sir?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
They took you. They took you as a guest.
Yes, Your Honor, along with the other 14.
I don't care about anybody else. Well, there are other family members. You're not a family member. They took you as a guest. When did she ask you to sign the marriage license? On what date?
When I asked her for the title to my car, I have that
On
in
what
here.
date?
I believe the first time that she asked was on February 19th of 2020.
And where did that conversation take place?
In text, Your Honor.
I actually think that that was pretty nasty, Mr. Potts, not to sign the marriage certificate. You had nice people. You lived in a nice guest house, practically for free, with the VA picking up the majority of the tab. They were nice people. They took you on a vacation. They paid for it.
They didn't ask me if I wanted to go. I'd never wanted to go on a cruise, Your Honor.
Well, I think, sir, that you have an ethical and moral obligation, if you sign on to officiate at a wedding, not to extort something in exchange for signing the marriage certificate.
I was not extorting, Your Honor.
Why didn't you sign it?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, why didn't you sign it? In February. Just tell me why you didn't sign it in February.
Because in February,
Give me the reason.
When she was in Hawaii, she told me that she would pay me my deposit, she would give me my title when she got back.
Why didn't you sign the marriage certificate the first time? You're supposed to sign it the day of the marriage.
Right, Your Honor.
I'm an officiant. I have performed hundreds of weddings in my lifetime as a judge. The day of the wedding, the day that I perform the ceremony, I sign it, I put it in an envelope, I put a stamp on it, and the first thing I do is to put it in a mailbox. So I'm certain that I have fulfilled my obligation. Why didn't you do that?
Your Honor, this was my first ceremony ever. I was just ordained on January 1st, as you know.
Good. That just cost you $785. Your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you very much. I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy in Vegas.
Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
What did you find when you got there?
My car on top of 9 fence posts and chain link fence wrapped underneath of it.
He says he wasn't even there. It doesn't get easier. It's just going to get harder.
Judge Judy.
I believe she was a fair judge. I don't believe she was being really fair this time.
I do feel Judge Judy was fair in the judgment.
There were a lot of details that were not brought out.
I do feel that there was to the best she can.
I told her I was going to be late with the rent.
Well, he's a gambler.
I was having a problem getting it.
He had gambled the money away that he was supposed to pay the rent with.
I was going to go and get the rent when she told me to get out.
And I had just had it at that point.
I don't know if it was fair, but I felt that that was an appropriate response to how I was being treated.
That was my mistake. I should have had it signed right away, directly after the marriage, so I take that on my own shoulders.
She wished it was a bad dream.
You were awakened by what, 4 o'clock in the morning?
My phone. He had been calling me nonstop. He wrecked my car.
The reality was an eye-opener.
And what did you find when you got there?
My car on top of 9 fence posts and chain link fence wrapped underneath of it.
Now her nightmare continues.
He says he wasn't even there. It doesn't get easier. It's just going to get harder.
This is Judge Judy. Brianna Collins is suing her former friend, Nicholas Brown, for driving her car without permission and wrecking it.
Judge, this is case number 63 on the calendar in the matter of Collins versus Brown. Parties have been sworn in.
Miss Collins, it is your claim that the defendant took your car without permission on August 11th of this year and had a bad accident with it. You want him to be responsible for all of the repairs. The defendant doesn't deny that he drove your car. He said he had your permission to drive it. He returned it. He doesn't know what happened to it after that. So why don't you, in your own words, tell me first how you know him, second, the story about the 11th of August when your car was in a ditch.
Well, I met Nick from... I take care of this older gentleman. He's kind of like an uncle to me that lives on our property. And he was over there at a friend's house right behind us. And that's how I had met them, was through them. He had came over and knocked on my door and asked me if he could have a ride home or just if he could have a ride down the road, is what he had said. And I told him after I put my kids to bed that I would take him. And I fell asleep in the process of putting my kids to bed. And that usually happens, though. And then I woke up on the 4 o'clock in the morning saying that he needed my help. And
you woke up. Now that's I know what you memorized, madam. Now I know what you memorized. Now I'm going to stop you. So now you're singing your children to sleep and you were awakened 4 o'clock in the morning. You see how we're smiling at each other? And it's just going to get harder. You were awakened by what, 4 o'clock in the morning?
My phone. He had been calling me nonstop.
So your phone, well, you don't know that because you were sleeping.
Well, you're right.
Right?
Yes.
So you don't know that because, according to you, you were sleeping. But you finally heard your phone.
Yeah.
And answered your phone. And on the other end of the phone was the defendant. Go ahead.
Stating that...
And?
He
said, no, not stating. He said.
He said that...
What did he say to you?
He wrecked my car. And that I needed to come and pick it up before the tow truck guy got there.
Okay, did he tell you where he was?
Yes, he had said that he was down by the State Patrol office. Sorry.
He said he was by the State Patrol office.
Yes.
I assume you knew where that was.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I woke up my significant...
No. Look at me.
I woke up my significant other and asked him if I could use his car to go and see what was going on.
How did you wake him up?
I hit him. I, nudged him. Hey.
Well, where were your children?
They were asleep in their room.
Well, so at some point, what you said to me was I was singing bedtime stories to my children, and I fell asleep.
Yes.
At some point, you left your children's mother's room.
Yes.
About what time was that?
I have no idea. I did not look at the phone, and I didn't think anything, I don't usually. I just get up and go to my bed when I'm told that, hey, you should get out of the girls' bed.
I told you it was going to get worse. Now, so you woke up your significant other, and what happened? What did you do next?
I showed him...
What did you do? What did you do next?
I told him I needed his car so that I could leave to go and check out my car.
Okay. And did he give you permission to take his car?
Yes.
So you drove alone to the State Patrol office area.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly there, but down the road.
And what did you find when you got there?
My car on top of 9 fence posts and chain link fence wrapped underneath of it.
And where was the defendant?
Walking up to me, telling me that he was sorry.
Just a second. So he was walking up to you?
Yes.
Did you both wait for a tow truck?
Yes and no.
Is not an answer.
No and yes. I had went back. He had thought that we could tow my car myself. And it did, because it didn't look like it was as bad as it had seemed, I guess. So he opened my trunk and he tied together my jumper cables and he hooked it. Like, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. Just stop. And so I went back home in my boyfriend's car to go and get the truck and bring the truck there so that we could tow the truck home and not have to pay for a tow truck. But it didn't work out like that. By the time I had
Well, how did it work out?
By the time I got back to the accident, the tow truck guy was already there and attempting to get my car off of this fence post.
And
it cost us $350 for them to tow it off of there into my house.
Just a second. Where was the defendant?
Standing right there.
Okay. Did anyone make a police report?
I have no idea. All I did was file. I didn't press any charges or anything on him because that would have done me no good. He can't pay for my car while he's sitting in jail.
I just want to see a police report.
I don't
When there's
have
an
one.
accident like
I
this,
don't-
there's usually a police report.
I don't have one. I was never given one.
Well, you have to call the police in order to them to write a report. They're not sitting around waiting, say, oh, gee, maybe I should drive by this area and see if there was an accident.
Yes, I was.
So
not,
you didn't make.
I didn't. I was.
You didn't call the police.
They were already there.
The police were there.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, interesting. When did the police get there?
Before I arrived. I'm not sure.
So there is a police report somewhere. A police report.
Yes. I wasn't the one that wrecked the car. I didn't really talk to the cops.
That doesn't matter. Well, but you were the owner of the car.
Yes.
So the owner of the car, if the police are taking a report, they take down the name of the driver and the owner.
And that was all.
Now, you knew you were coming to court today. You live in Los Angeles?
No.
Where do you live?
In Washington, Moses Lake, Washington.
In the state of Washington? Yes. Well, this may come as a surprise to you, but in court you're supposed to bring evidence. And if the police were on the scene, the police would have recorded who was driving the car, who was the owner of the car, because the defendant says he wasn't driving the car when it ended up in a ditch. Isn't that what you said to me in your answer, sir?
Yes, it is.
So, do you have a copy of the police report?
No, I don't.
Well, why don't you get it? She's alleging that you took her car, or at least that you were the driver of the car. How many police responded to that? One car or more than one car?
I have no idea.
How many police cars were there?
When I had arrived, there was one. By the time it was all over, there was 3.
So there were 3 police cars, and according to you, he was there.
Yes.
Because you told me a moment ago that there, when you arrived, he must have been there, which could settle the whole thing, right? All you need is a police report. So I am going to do this for you. I'm dismissing your case.
I have text messages.
Without prejudice to you furnishing me a police report. And if the police report, which it will, indicates that he was the driver of the car, I will enter a judgment for you in the amount you request, which is $3,000. But the police report must say that he was on the scene and was driving the car. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand. Sorry. I believe that I have, actually, because the photos that I brought were from the police. They had emailed it to me. I believe that I have that, in my email.
You believe that you have a copy of the police report that says the defendant was at the scene when they were there and had been driving the car?
It does state that Nick Brown is the one that wrecked it, yes. I'm pretty sure, yes.
Well, take a look at it. Take a look at the report.
Because he received the ticket and
No.
else, so
No.
I never saw any of it.
Well, let's see. Just fine. Mr. Brown, they wouldn't make up your name, right?
No, they wouldn't.
No, I guess I don't. All it is the case number and everything. The case number and the photos and the invoice because I had to pay for them.
Do you understand what my
Yes.
ruling? All I need is a document. I will allow you to get it, but I'm dismissing your case pending you getting me that document. A document from the police that indicates on the 11th of August of 2020, they responded to a car, your car. The defendant was at the scene, admitted to driving the car. They don't even have to say that. If he was there, he says he wasn't even there. He says he doesn't know if police arrived or any. He says he doesn't know. I don't want to see text messages between the two of you. I want to see the police report. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's very easy to get.
Yep.
All you have to do is ask.
Yep.
Thank you. We're done.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
My car wasn't there, and he was on the phone saying he wrecked it.
Left the keys in the ignition like they usually are, and took off, and I don't know what happened.
I'm just going to get the police report.
She gets a police report, then fine. But if she can find it.
All parties in the matter of Watson versus Young. Step to the podium, please.
Rosie Watson is suing carpenter Kellon Young for staircase.
Miss Watson, it is your claim that you hired the defendant to do some work on the steps in your house.
Yes, ma'am.
You gave him a check for $800. He left and said he would be back to finish the job in a day or two. A couple of days later, according to your complaint, an older gentleman appeared and started working on the project and was there for a relatively short period of time and left.
Yes, ma'am.
You want your money back.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Young says that you were a pest and a micromanager. He did $800 worth of work, and then he said, that's for the work that I did. I'm not doing this job anymore. That's your defense.
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
All right. Good. Then I'm going to start with you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She actually wanted me to cash the check, and I would use the money to buy the stuff with.
So she paid for the materials herself.
No, she didn't pay for herself. It was out of the money that she gave me.
Yeah. Well, that was her money. So far,
Yeah,
you hadn't
yes.
done anything.
Rosie Watson is suing carpenter Kellon Young for a refund for unfinished work on her staircase.
Okay. Tell me what your business is.
With their homes and apartments.
What kind of work were you supposed to do for the plaintiff?
I was supposed to repaint some stairs and then replace some damaged wood.
And when did she give you the check?
She gave it to me like a day before I started the work.
On what date did you give him the check?
On April 27,
Just give me
2020, Your Honor.
So you're telling me that you came back to her house on April 28th.
No, first.
Is that correct?
Yes, but we first went to Home Depot together to purchase the items.
Okay. And did she put that on her credit card?
No,
Or did you put that on your credit card?
No, she actually wanted me to cash the check, and I would use the money to buy the stuff with.
Is that what you did?
Yes.
So she paid for the materials herself. And how much were the materials?
No, she didn't pay for herself. It was out of the money that she gave me.
Yeah. Well, that was her money. So far, you hadn't
yes.
done anything.
Yeah, yes.
So far, she paid for the materials.
Yes, yes.
How much were the materials?
We spent like $300.
Not we.
Or I spent $300.
She.
She spent, yes.
She spent
Yes.
$300. How much was the receipt from wherever you went to purchase the supplies? He said it was about $300. Do you recall?
Your
or
Honor.
do you have the receipt?
Your Honor.
What?
This broke hustler has stolen from so many people, he ought to lock himself up.
If you don't answer my questions.
There was no
don't
receipt,
answer
Your
my
Honor.
questions-
There were no purchases.
Just a second. Okay. So what you're saying is the two of you never went to a Home Depot to buy supplies.
Yes, ma'am. I gave him $800.
Just don't get ahead of me. You gave him a check on April 27th for $800. When was the next time you saw him?
About 3 days later, he and I met at the Home Depot. He purchased one can of paint.
Just a second. 3 days later, you must have had some sort of either text or telephone communications to know to meet at Home Depot.
Yes, it was a text message that we...
May I see it?
Yes. Where it says, okay.
Just a second. Okay, so you met at Home Depot, and that was on Wednesday, the 29th. So that was 2 days after you had given him the check.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, sir, pay attention. According to the text, you bought a can of paint. Mr. Young.
No, according to her.
According to the text, you...
I didn't
No,
just buy
that's the text. Well, then you should have kept a receipt. You said I chip.
That's for the railing. That ain't for the steps. So she's not showing you the right text,
now,
I guess.
You'll show me your evidence when you show it to me. When was the next time you went to her house?
We went that same day. Someone was already there working already that same day. Someone
was
there.
there?
Someone was there prepping, and
Who
guy
was
helps.
there?
There's a guy who helps me.
What's his name?
Charles. And Charles was there.
Charles was already there on the 29th.
Yes.
When had Charles gone there?
When I dropped him off, probably like 8:30 or 9.
On the 29th. Ms. Watson.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that when this gentleman that you referred to, an older gentleman, showed up?
Showed up, yes, ma'am. And he did about no more than 2 hours worth of work. Absolutely. Mr. Young.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Someone showed up and did an hour's worth of work and left. So you did see someone. So let's not get fixated. Who you refer to, an older gentleman, don't tell me what he did. He showed up.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rosie Watson is suing carpenter Kellon Young for a refund for unfinished work on her stage.
3:30 from getting the paint. You met him there, you bought a can of paint, and then you went home. Did he go home with you?
No, ma'am. This was on my rental property, not on my residential property. He was doing work on my rental property. He bought one can of paint, and he kept the paint in his vehicle along with the receipt. I never saw him after that.
Okay. When you got to the rental property that day, the next day, was Charles still there?
No, ma'am.
Had you seen Charles that morning?
I had not seen him.
On the 29th. You did.
No, they have not returned to my property since I gave him the check.
Didn't say. According to you, someone showed up and did an hour's worth of work and left. So you did see someone. So let's not get fixated. You gave him the check on the 27th.
Yes.
Somebody showed up on the 29th.
And
who
did.
you refer to an older gentleman.
Yes.
Don't tell me what he did. He showed up.
Yes.
And you haven't seen either Mr. Young after purchasing the can of paint or this Charles since April 29th.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Now, would you show me a photograph of the steps as Charles left them?
Yes, ma'am. And I can tell you what this photograph shows.
Looking at the railing. It looks like either the paint is off or was sanded off or was just off from where?
This is the only work that Charles did. He sanded this top railing of the stairs, and he put on the primer, the white area you see here, this is primer. About 1/10 of the stairs were primed. That's all the work that was done, period, at the end.
I got it. And you haven't seen them since?
Not at all.
Have you been in communication with Mr. Young?
Multiple messages following this.
Has he responded to you?
No, he blocked my text messages. He blocked me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. Now, Mr. Young, certainly this job was not completed based on this photograph, and I assume you did not have a photograph
Yeah. Well,
to show me a completed job.
Oh, no. Not completed, no.
Well, of course not completed. Now, you want to tell me whether you were back to the property, and if you were not back to the property, why?
Went back and stayed until probably 5 o'clock. And I didn't just purchase one can of paint. We purchased more items than just one can.
Whether or not you finished this job more than the photograph that I just saw.
Yeah, yes, of course.
That's very easy to...
Yeah, yes,
well,
of course.
show me a picture. Show me a picture.
I could, okay.
You knew that there was a dispute.
Yeah, only thing I have is this picture here, and and I have a picture.
Well, that's the picture that she showed me.
Yeah, that's the only picture I have that I took.
Then you owe her $800. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you. We're finished.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm just getting the lay of the land here.
I live with my ex-husband.
Must like him again.
He's my husband.
I never heard that before. Look at my age. I learned a new word.
Judge Judy.
I don't agree, of course.
That broke hustler owes so many people.
I'm not a hustler.
I'd like everyone to take a look at that scam artist's face.
You can't please everyone.
If he thought he was going to make me his sugar mama without my permission, I got news for that con man.
A day at the vet.
She backed right out of her own car.
We spent, all 7 days out looking.
Fortunately, the dog came back.
She was a mess.
Is the doctor in the doghouse?
She was yelling at me on the phone.
She actually told me it was all my fault that my dog had gotten out.
I said, we are both at fault.
No, actually, that's not true.
This is Judge Judy. Tiffany Best is suing veterinarian Dr. Angelina Beeks for losing her Australian Shepherd, Callie.
Judge, this is case number 50 on the calendar in the matter of Best versus Beeks. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Thanks, Bert. Miss Best, you have a dog. What kind?
She's an Australian Shepherd.
How long have you had her?
For about
a year and a half now.
What kind of facility do the defendants own?
It's a veterinary mobile clinic.
And who is the vet?
I am, Your Honor.
Do you have an office in addition to having the mobile clinic?
No, I do not. I go to several different places in the high desert where they don't have veterinarians. My main purpose is to help spay and neuter dogs and cats so we're not killing so many in the shelters. So I go where there aren't vets. And
Okay. Where did you go to school?
Ross University Veterinary Medicine in the Caribbean.
How long a program is that?
It takes about 4 years. You have 3 years on the break, and they'll get out in 3.5 years. So some of us do 4 years, some do 3.5. I did 4.
Where in the Caribbean?
So you do 3 years down on the island in St. Kitts, and then you do your last year here in the United States at one of the veterinarian schools. My last year was at LSU in Baton Rouge.
And in what year did you attend there?
2010, and I graduated in 2014.
So you started in the Caribbean in 2010.
Yeah, it was, I believe I started in May of 2010, and then I finished at LSU in June of 2014.
And in what state are you board certified?
California.
Have you ever had a veterinary practice other than a mobile spay-neuter unit?
No, I have not. I worked at a practice for 3.5 years. I worked at Bear Valley Animal Hospital in Apple Valley for 3.5 years. I was one of the main surgeons for spay and neuter and other surgeries.
You had your dog for how long before you decided to have her spayed?
I had her for a year. What had happened was we were going to have her spayed previously, but we had a neighbor's dog jump the fence, and she ended up pregnant. So what we did is we waited until she was done. She had the puppies in June, and then I scheduled this for the 31st of August.
Just a minute. She had the puppies in June?
Yes, if it was June 18th.
How many puppies did she have? All of this becomes relevant. All be tied together.
Oh,
how many puppies did she have?
She had 9.
What was the father of these 9 puppies? What kind of dog?
German Shepherd.
So they were big puppies?
Yeah. They weren't very big, but I've never delivered puppies before, so I don't really have anything to base it off of.
And all 9 puppies survived?
Yes.
And did you give them away, sell them? What did you do?
I gave them away, actually, to friends and family.
How old were they when you gave them away?
9 weeks.
Okay, and during the first 6, 7 weeks, during that period of time, your dog nursed the puppies, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this is your lawsuit. About 2 months after she had the puppies, you scheduled an appointment with the defendant to have her spayed because you didn't want to have that kind of accident again.
Yes, ma'am.
And you do understand that if you didn't intend to breed her, she should have been spayed well before she was a year old.
Oh, okay.
You do get that?
I do now. I haven't had to do it before.
Because she had already been through at least one heat period.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. She went to the defendant's. While she was in the defendant's care, she escaped, and she was gone, according to you, for 7 days.
Yes.
Fortunately, she made her way home, and she's back.
Yes.
You want both actual damages for the vet services and the punitive damages of just for losing the dog. I don't understand. You'll have to explain that to me, other than the fact that you were probably very upset that the dog was missing, which I actually do understand. I don't know whether that's something that you can be compensated for, unless, of course, you went and sought psychiatric care as a result of this. So you have some sort of damage. I don't know how to gauge your sadness because the puppy was missing. In any event, what day did you bring the puppy to the defendant, or what day did the defendant pick the puppy up?
I dropped off my dog, Callie, on August 31st at 9:35 in the morning.
And where is the defendant located?
About 10 miles from me, up in the Marianas almost. It's all dirt area, dirt fields, horse property out there.
When you dropped it off, did you drop it off to this mobile vet unit, or did you drop it off to a house?
It was her home, but the mobile vet unit is parked in front, inside the gate.
Did you see any other dogs there?
Yes, there was a whole line of vehicles. So what we had to do is line up and then let them know we were there, sign the paperwork, and then they would send somebody out to get our animal from us.
On what date were you notified that the dog was missing?
It was the same day, August 31st, and I got a phone call between 11:43 and 11:44 a.m.
Speak to.
It was either Eric or Derek. It was hard to understand over the phone. He had called me.
Who's Derek Eric? Just one second. Who's Derek Eric?
It's Garrett. Garrett is my surgical technician.
Is he here today?
No, he is not. My son, who has been helping me since COVID, he was the one he's also helping out as a veterinary assistant. So he was the one who actually went to get the dog to bring it to the truck to be spayed, and that's who it got away from.
Okay, so you got the call.
Yes, I got the phone call, and he just told me he sounded very panicked, which rightfully so. I understood that. He was very panicked. He said, "Could you please come back over? I was just told to call you to see if the owner would come help look for your dog." And I said, "Wait a minute, how did that happen?" Because, I was baffled. And he said that, well, a slip leash wasn't used and the front gate was left open to the property. And he said that the front gate is never left open when there's other animals there.
Did he say who left it open?
No, he did not. He said that there's a newer employee working there and that he basically blamed him. And I didn't get a name until later on. So I loaded up my kids, and my daughter was mid-school on the distance learning. I had to take her off of it, apologize to the teacher, load them in the truck, and rush over there. And so when I got there, Miss Beeks, she didn't say anything to me. She didn't acknowledge me. She just stood there with her arms crossed and a dirty look on her face. And I followed Garrett. I apologize for messing his name up earlier. He told me to get back in the vehicle and follow him, and he'll take me to where Callie was last seen. And I did. I followed him in the vehicle. We saw no signs of her, but then we saw, I believe, Chris. I think that is her son's name. We saw him, and he was running out there looking for her. He had Callie's leash and collar in his hands, and he was running up the sides of the hills. Because, like I said, out there, it's all dirt. It's just fields, dirt, and sporadic homes.
On what date did Kelly return home?
September 6th, around 5 p.m.
Tell me how that happened.
To be honest, I'm not sure how it happened. I was very thankful for it, though. We were out looking. We spent, all 7 days out looking. It was over 100-degree temperature. There were a few rescues that had reached out and said, always try to take the same path home. And, we would do the little treats out the door that were her favorite with my kids, trying to find her. So we would always take the same path back, hoping that she would just catch a scent. We were told that dogs can smell for up to a mile. So we were just very hopeful. So.
Okay.
Yeah, she dug a hole in the backyard to get in.
You were in the house when you saw her, or did she come to the door?
She came to the door. I was cooking dinner. It was around 5 o'clock. We usually went out. She dug a hole. We put some rocks in it to cover it so that we did keep 2 puppies so they don't get out. And she was panting. She was very skinny. She was very dirty. There was nothing bleeding or anything like that, but she had burrs stuck in her. She was a mess and very thirsty, but she was a mess. She was a mess.
Do you have a picture of Kelly?
Before or when she came home?
Both.
Okay, I sure do.
I would also, just for my own curiosity, love to see pictures of the puppies that you kept.
Oh, man, I did not bring a picture. Oh, wait, yes, I do. I do have one picture of one of the puppies that we have. Okay, so that's my girl. This is actually just a couple weeks ago. She was just laying there, and I was just checking her. It's usually after we give her a bath, and they're indoor-outdoor dogs. My dogs do not stay outside all day long. Of course, if we're gone, they go outside because
So this is this is a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. And
okay.
then
And the other picture that you have?
The other picture that I have, that's the only picture I took. I was too excited when she got home and wanted to check her out, but that's when she got home. That's the back slider. She was scratching on the slider. I opened the door, and Remy was right there. That's one of her puppies, Remy. But she was just dirty. Her fur is very soft, and it just lays down flat. Her fur was over 100 degrees for that entire week.
Okay, I'm sure you were happy to see her, and that puppy's as cute as a bug's ear. That puppy is adorable.
Thank you.
You took Kelly to the vet. Do you have the vet bill?
I do have a vet bill.
May I see it, please?
Yes. And I did get the county voucher for $50, but because I used that, I won't be able to use it again because there's a limit on how many county vouchers you're allowed to use.
Did you have her spayed?
Yes, I have her rabies certificate and her spay certificate right here.
So the vet bill for that visit was $204, but you used a voucher, so it was really $254.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Other than the vet bill, did you have any other actual expenses?
Yes, I do. I had to make flyers. She did say she would make some, but the one that she made, she did send it to me. You can't tell that it's even my dog in the picture. It was just a very standard black and white, poorly done one.
So you made your own flyers?
Yes, I made flyers, and then I had to get the staple gun.
Just stop. Stop. How much were the flyers?
$34 for the flyers and $39.99 for the staple gun.
What other actual expenses did you have?
Other actual expenses were that I had myself and 15 other people out searching for 7 days looking, and I would like to pay them back because, you know, they helped out of the graciousness of their hearts, but that is something that I believe they deserve back.
What else? So far, your actual expenses were $328. What else?
That was it for actual, because the gas I totaled.
Okay. Forget gas. For your friends. Okay, now you want to tell me how this happened? Is your son was there? Is that right?
Yes. So I was actually in doing surgery, and I heard...
I got it. Would you have your son step up, please?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was very nasty on the phone. She wouldn't talk to us really at all. She just sent me a letter demanding $10,000.
So, Miss Best, where did you come up with the figure of $10,000?
Tiffany Best says her Australian Shepherd, Callie, escaped while in the care of veterinarian Dr. Angelina Beeks. She is suing for both actual and punitive damages.
Tell me your name.
My name is Christopher Beeks.
Mr. Beeks, want to tell me how the dog managed to get away?
I was just leading the dog from the cage to the RV, backed right out of her own collar, and since the gate was open, she saw and she took off.
Well, who had left the gate open?
Whoever was checking in clients at the time, if they were still checking any cars that were at the gate.
The plaintiff says that you said to her that this was a new person.
I am the new person.
You're the new person?
Yes.
So the person who was checking people in their cars was whom?
Probably one of the receptionists who take the phone calls and sign in the guests. I was just moving the dog from one place to the other.
And none of those people are new?
No.
Prior to doing what you're doing now, helping your mom, what were you doing?
I worked at Dave & Buster's as a bartender, but because of COVID, everything shut down and haven't been able to really get another bartending job because they pretty much filled those spots as fast as they could.
Got it. And what do you do for your mother?
I just assist with any extra work that she needs at the clinic, whether it's keep an eye on dogs that have just come out of surgery, make sure they're still breathing, moving dogs from one place to another. That's basically the main things that I do as a volunteer.
So you understand, both you and your mom understand, that you are responsible for the actual financial damages that the plaintiff suffered as a result of your negligence. You understand that?
Understood.
Good. And Dr. Beeks, you do want... Okay.
I would have
and so
spayed
far,
the dog for her, you know, had she had brought it back and had been nice to us, but she was very nasty on the phone. She wouldn't talk to us really at all. She just sent me a letter demanding $10,000. That's the only conversations we were having. I had people out looking.
Do you have that letter?
Absolutely.
I'd like to see it.
And this was dated, I believe, the 3rd of September.
Okay. So, Miss Best, where did you come up with the figure of $10,000?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And she was yelling at me on the phone. And then I said, hold on. I said, the collar was not on your dog properly. And she goes, oh, you're blaming this all on me. I said, no, I am not. I said, we are both at fault.
No, actually, that's not true, Dr. Beeks.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tiffany Best says veterinarian Dr. Angelina Beeks owes for temporarily losing her Australian Shepherd, Callie.
Where did you come up with the figure of $10,000?
Well, it's a stipulation to do something in writing for small claims court, so that is why I wrote the letter. I did that because I didn't know how much to put on. Being rude to them, that is not the case. She actually told me it was all my fault that my dog had gotten out, and then made mention later that that was her son, and I was never once mean to them. I was never mean to Mr. Beeks, not once. When I saw him in person, my kids were crying in the background.
I can imagine. I can imagine that you were upset.
I was, but I never once was mean. I even told him that I understand the accidents happen. And as far as not getting a hold of her, I texted her all day one day, and she never responded until the next day. So honestly, yes, I had to escalate it because she was the one not responding to me.
Your Honor, that's not true. I talked to her that very same day. It was probably around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I called her when I got out of surgery, and I talked to her then, and she was yelling at me on the phone. And then I said, hold on. I said, the collar was not on your dog properly. She slipped out of her own collar, so you didn't check her collar. And she goes, oh, you're blaming this all on me. I said, no, I am not. I said, we are both at fault. One, my son didn't put a slip lead.
No, actually, that's not true, Dr. Beeks. That's not true that you're both at fault. Your facility is at fault for losing the dog. Fortunately, the dog came back.
Yes.
I mean, if your son is new, then that's not plaintiff's fault. If your son, who has training as a bartender, is now a veterinary assistant, the problem is the amount that you're requesting, even $5,000, doesn't weigh with what happened.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I mean, let us assume that your dog didn't come home.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, Kelly came home.
Yes.
But if she had not come home and was lost permanently, either to someone else or to predators, you could have sued the defendant for Kelly's cost, what you paid for her. That would have been the level of her responsibility.
Okay.
What you want now is, now that you got the dog back, you are certainly entitled to even the money that you spent on a staple gun, which you still have, which you may or may not use in the future. But those are your actual damages. And certainly this was not, there are things that are accidental and there are things that are on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
This was an accident. We clearly would say that this was not a result of anything purposeful on the part of either one of the defendants. It was an accident. And unless you can tell me that you had additional expenses that you could get you through this difficult period, your damages are $328, and I'm prepared to compensate you for that.
Okay. The only thing I was including in that, though, is my daughter missed 5 days of school. She couldn't go to school for those 5 days online. So she was having a hard time eating. She was having a hard time sleeping. She'd wake up from nightmares. I mean, that's...
Okay. $328. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're done.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm not about to wreck anybody's marriage.
Her boyfriend failed to mention his wife.
She grabbed me and started beating my face.
He's the piece of garbage who broke your vows.
Judge Judy.
Heard the commotion. My son took off after the dog.
It was terrorizing. It was terror for me.
The other tech came in because he went out to help my son once he opened the door to bring the dog in.
The thing is she didn't. We were out every single day for 7 days. We never saw them out searching except for the very first day.
My son was chasing the dog. Garrett went with them. They kind of had her cornered down by the next property.
And I have it in text message proof that they only searched for 4 hours on the first day.
The area is, we're out in the desert, so everything is very big and wide, and she was able to get by both of them and took off.
As far as we know, Callie's still around here. We will find her. She's a smart girl.
No, she just had a collar and a leash, and her collar was on loosely, so she was able to...
She maybe even come home.
Pull her head out of the collar, and that's how she got away.
Oh, my gosh. We heard her scratching, opened the back door.
Oh, very happy Callie came home.
I couldn't even say anything. I literally just started crying.
Instability in the family.
I'm just getting the lay of the land here.
One sister falls on hard times.
Now you're living with your father.
Yes, I am.
And the other makes the best of it.
I live with my ex-husband after being separated for 5 years.
Must like him again.
Yeah, he's my husband.
I never heard that before. Look at my age, I learned a new word.
This is Judge Judy. Cheryl Koljat is suing her sister, Carla Young, for stealing her furniture from a storage unit.
Judge, this is case number 74 on the calendar in the matter of Coljet versus Young. Parties have been sworn in. Sir, have a seat.
Thank you. Ms. Coljet, the defendant is your sister, and it is you that was being stored in a storage unit that she rented.
Yes.
I have a few questions before I get to the facts of what was in the unit and how your stuff got to be there. Preliminary questions. Miss Young, how do you support yourself?
I work as a paralegal for a law firm.
Do you have a family, or do you live alone?
I live with my ex-husband.
You must like him again.
Yeah, he's my husband. He was my husband.
Was your husband? I never heard that before. Look, at my age, I learned a new word. Okay. Tell me when you rented these storage units and why.
I rented a storage unit for myself when I moved back to Boise 5 years ago because there wasn't enough room in the house for my stuff with his stuff there.
So you moved back with him?
I moved back in with him after being separated for 5 years.
Okay. And you took one storage unit or two?
I took one storage unit and put all my stuff in that storage unit.
How did it come to pass that you took a second storage unit?
In December of 2018, my sister was leaving a temporary residential arrangement and needed a place to put her stuff, so I rented a unit to store her stuff in.
Okay. Did your sister ask you to rent a storage unit?
Yes.
And you put it in your name?
Yes, it was connected with my first storage unit. They would default my first unit.
Well, I don't know that, and you don't have anything, I assume, that suggests that. Miss Coljet.
Yes.
From what I read in your papers, much of what your sister says is accurate. That's what you say. Most of your big items took up a second storage unit.
No, ma'am. They took up about two-thirds of that storage unit. She had her own furniture in that storage unit also. I did not have the whole storage unit, and I did not rent it in December. I moved out in January 17th.
January. January. Let's start with you. What do you do for a living?
I'm on SSI. I'm disabled. And I live with my dad, and I care for my dad, our dad.
Well, why did your furniture have to be in storage? What kind of temporary facility?
I was living in Boise, Idaho at the time, and my roommate was not paying rent, and so we were evicted. In January 17th of 2019, I had to move out, and it was January 17th of 2019, not December.
Were you paying rent?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and now you're living with your father?
Yes, I am, and I'm paying rent there, too.
Is it in your father's house?
Yes, it is. It is my father's house.
You have to let me finish my question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's you there to take care of him. That's what you said a moment ago.
That, yes.
That you were there taking care of him. And is what you want me to believe, that you're taking care of him and he's charging you rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Do you get any money for taking care of him?
No, I do not.
How old is he?
83.
And what do you do to take care of him?
I feed him, I cook his meals, I give him his medication, I make sure he takes his insulin. I get him up in the morning, I help him get dressed.
Well, it sounds as if you're pretty capable. Did anybody else do that before you moved in?
No, ma'am. He's progressively getting worse since I moved in.
Miss Young, do you know anything about your sister's living arrangements with your father?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and let's go back to, was anybody helping your father before she moved in January of last year?
He had services through the VA and had a home health care nurse that would come by the house.
Of course.
But Cheryl did not like that home health care nurse.
No, that's incorrect.
Don't speak. Okay. He had some help through the VA.
Yes.
And a home health care nurse.
Not a nurse.
When your sister moved in, other than your sister, does anybody else assist him?
Her daughter Skylar was living there as well. I don't remember when Skylar moved in.
Is she still there?
No, she moved out
a year ago.
Your Honor, she did make a misstatement with regard to her furniture.
No, I'm going to get to the furniture in a second. I have another train that I'm taking down the road right now. Do you know if your sister is compensated from either the VA or from Medicare for giving your father assistance?
I believe she is not. I do not know.
Do you know if your father is eligible for home health care aid?
I do not.
Do you speak to your father?
Yes, I do.
Is your father charging your sister rent?
No, he is not. She is paying the cell phone bill and buying some groceries, but not all of the groceries with her food stamps.
Does that sound accurate to you?
Not quite. He has a nurse come in once a month from the VA. An RN comes in once a month from the VA, and she does his meds and takes blood work and stuff like that once a month. And when I first started going there, he had a nurse's aide come in from a home health place, and she would come in and visit with him and wet mop the kitchen floor.
What about
lie about
food?
her hours.
What about food?
I
and
purchased
cell
food
phone?
with food stamps and cash.
And cell phone.
I spend about $250 a month on food. I get $116.
Rent.
The agreement with my dad is that I would pay the phone bill and purchase food in lieu of rent.
That equals
$400
the answer.
a month.
The answer is you pay the phone bill and food, some of which you pay for in cash and some of which you pay for in food stamps, but you do not pay rent.
Okay.
Okay. And the person that would come in and see your dad when you moved in, and you said lie about her hours.
Yes, she was there for half the time she claimed. I'm sorry.
Somebody was paying for the hours. Some governmental institution was paying for the hours.
My dad was paying it.
From what?
From his retirement and his disability. The VA would send him a bill monthly, and they started garnishing his money.
For the hours that she claimed to work?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just getting the lay of the land here. Okay, now, let us assume that you are telling me accurately that your storage stuff only took up 2/3 of the storage unit. How much was the storage unit a month?
$103 a month.
And show me proof that you paid 2/3 of that over a period of...
I only made one payment.
A year and a half.
I only made one payment.
Of how much?
$103.
Okay. And in what month and year did you make that one payment?
May of 2020. She didn't ask me to start paying for the unit until my birthday, November 29th, 2019, is when she asked me to start paying for the unit. And at that time, she said that I could...
So why didn't you...
Can I finish, please?
So why didn't you start paying?
Because I live on a limited income, and I couldn't afford to pay her. And she knew this.
Then get rid of it. Okay, then get rid of it. So this is the situation. You didn't pay for the unit. If you paid for it for 1 month
never agreed
out of
on a
18
price.
months, that means you didn't pay for it. And when did you tell her to get her stuff out of the unit or start to pay for it? Was that in November of 2019?
No, it was before that. We had this discussion when the unit was rented in December, and the furniture was moved in there when she left her previous rental before she moved in with the guy that kicked her out in January.
He didn't kick me out.
When did
He was evicted.
In what month did you tell her
December
that you were getting rid of her
12th,
stuff?
2020. Oh, when I was getting rid of her stuff, I told her in April that part of her stuff had been moved to my granddaughter's house as she had abandoned the storage unit for not making payments.
What stuff had been moved to your granddaughter's house?
A queen-size bed with the metal frame that the box spring sits on.
Okay.
An end table and a cocktail table with 4 stools that pull out. It's like a round coffee table and a dresser.
Okay, and your granddaughter is using that?
She is
I assume
using
that's
them.
why you moved it there.
She is using them.
And what did you leave in the storage unit?
Everything else. Furniture
What's
that
everything
had
else?
no value. Oh, there's also a TV that's at my granddaughter's house. She had a blue chair.
Is that in the storage unit?
That's in the storage unit. She had boxes of clothes, boxes of dishes, tons of miscellaneous items.
So my question to you is, you must still be paying for that unit.
No, I closed the unit in June of 2020, rented a U-Haul, and drove one way to Payette and delivered all of the remaining items in the storage unit to my dad's garage by unloading the unit when I got there with no help by my sister.
Okay. And up until June of 2020, did you pay for that storage unit?
Yes, I did.
Not consistently.
I was the only one paying it. I have invoices and receipts that go back several months. So I paid. I was the only one that made the payments until April. She did make a $200 payment in April besides the $103 in May.
And you gave my stuff away.
Yes, you did. She gave
it. I did not find out she gave my furniture away until June 11th.
Let's do this. We can make this better in either one of 2 ways.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Everybody has a reason for not having insurance. The dog ate the bill. My 5-year-old flushed it down the toilet. Everybody has a reason for not having insurance, and unfortunately, I've heard them all, so I'm not interested in yours.
Cheryl Koljat says her sister, Carla Young, stole her furniture from a storage unit. Carla is countersuing for the cost of the unit.
Now, we can make this better in either one of two ways. Either she can give you back the furniture.
I would like that very
when you
much.
Pay her for the storage unit.
I don't owe what she says I owe.
Listen to me. I'm making a decision now.
Okay.
This is not a parlor talk. This is not a parlor
I owe
talk.
her money.
This is now a decision. This is not time for you to speak anymore. This is me telling you that you can have this used furniture back that's been in storage, that's now being used. You're living with your father. Your father, I assume, has a perfectly furnished house. But you have to pay her the amount of the storage unit, which I believe is $1,700. You pay her the $1,700. I'm going to direct that she hire a U-Haul, take the furniture from her granddaughter's house, and put it in your father's garage, if that's what you want. But you have to pay her $1,700.
Your Honor.
Say nothing. Do you personally want to pay her for the furniture?
Not what she's asking, because I didn't have the whole storage unit. She had stuff in that storage unit. A lot of stuff in that storage unit. Why do I have to pay for the whole unit?
You're not paying for the whole unit. She's asking for $1,900.
That's the whole storage unit. I didn't have my stuff in the whole unit. She had stuff in that unit also. Big stuff in that unit.
I understand. How much do you want to pay her?
About
$1,100.
$1,100.
Fine. Now, I will direct that when you pay her $1,100 within 5 days, you don't need more than 5 days to pay her. If you have the $1,100, she is to rent a U-Haul and bring the furniture back to your father's house. Is that what you want?
Yes.
Fine. That's the order. We'll draft it. We're done. Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
I'm her big sister.
We're family.
It's always been my job to help take care of my younger siblings.
Everybody blocked me and stopped talking to me.
Since I think our
I don't know.
relationship has been tenuous for a while.
I hope so.
And I don't see it improving right now.
That we could get back together.
Just one day at a time.
All parties in the matter of Andrade versus Etalai. Step to the podium, please.
Martha Andrade is suing fellow motorist Faribos Etalai for an accident in a megastore parking lot.
Miss Andrade, you and the defendant were involved in an automobile accident in a parking lot in March of this year. Each of you claimed that it was the fault of the other. What I'm gathering from reading your papers is that at the time of the accident, you had no insurance. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Well, that is a huge problem for you.
It is a huge problem, but I can explain what happened.
Well, I don't care why you didn't have insurance, because everybody has a reason for not having insurance. The dog ate the bill. I didn't see it. My 5-year-old flushed it down the toilet. I didn't get it because I moved. Everybody has a reason for not having insurance, and unfortunately, I've heard them all, so I'm not interested in yours.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why do you think this accident was his fault? I mean, I see the deck on. What I don't see is the lanes there. What were you doing in this red zone?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Martha Andrade says fellow motorist Faribos Etalai ran into her car in a megastore parking lot.
Now, bottom line is you had this accident with the defendant in a parking lot. You exchanged information on the date of the accident. The defendant's car, by the way, was totaled. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
He had insurance. His insurance paid for his totaled car. You were driving what kind of a car and what year, sir?
Mercedes-Benz 2010.
And how much did the insurance company give you for it?
They paid $5,500 to the body shop, and I paid $2,500 to take care of the fixing the car.
Okay. In any event, you're here today, Miss Andrade, because you not only had to pay to fix your own car, but you got a letter from collections from his insurance company that you owe $8,500.
A little bit more than that, Your Honor.
Okay, so now, why do you think this accident was his fault?
I was going to Costco, and he was parked on the red zone. I have evidence of everything.
Okay, so he was stopped in a red zone, and?
So I was driving by to get a parking spot, and all of a sudden, I just felt stunned on my car. I'm like, what happened? I think he started driving at the same time, and that's when he hit me.
Oh, show me the evidence of what you have. I'm just curious.
Your Honor, I have my picture also, if you're interested.
He says his car was completely towed.
He didn't say it was totaled. He said it was undrivable.
As a matter of fact.
Okay. As you can see here, his car is parallel to hitting my car. It wasn't me that hit him. I was passing by, and you can see the way he hit me. I have proof there was only a little scratch on his car.
No.
This is what happened to my car.
And
this is what happened to his car. Can you tell me why would this be?
Just a second. So what you're saying is you were driving by, and he went into you.
Yes.
He was saying he was stopped. You tried to get by him, and your cars collided. Is that what you're going to tell me?
Yes, Your Honor.
You want to show me a picture?
I have a picture.
You want to show me a picture?
Sir. This is one of the picture.
I got it. I mean, I see the damage to her car, and I see the damage to your car. What I don't see is the lanes there. What were you doing in this red zone?
Sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
What were you doing in this red zone?
I was waiting for a space to park my car, and suddenly I realized that, I got hit, and I was shocked.
Just a second. So you were standing still waiting for a spot? Your car wasn't moving?
No, and she was crossing or passing, something like that, which I got hit. I have a couple more pictures if you're interested.
I'll see them.
Please, and
I'll see them.
The car wasn't drivable anymore, and
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I have no counterclaim.
I know, but the car took 2 weeks for fixing. I had no car.
You don't have a counterclaim, sir. You don't have a counterclaim. If you had a counterclaim, I would hear you. But you don't have a counterclaim. You didn't file one. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So there's no reason for you to tell me about what your troubles are. I believe that you had expenses over and above it. I would entertain it if you had a counterclaim, which you don't.
Yes.
Ms. Andrade, you don't come to court without insurance and ask for
I have insurance now, Your Honor.
Your case is just, you didn't have insurance on the date of the accident.
Your Honor.
Ms. Andrade, you didn't have insurance on the date of the accident. I'm not helping you.
But this is not, he's charging me for something that no.
Court,
Your Honor, please.
Case is over.
Fair. It's
done.
not fair what he's doing to me.
We're done.
I need you to help me,
We're
please.
done.
Ma'am, this case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And on the next Judge Judy, she got in a tangle with her former salon.
You filed the restraining order against her because she threatened to put a gun to your head.
Next Judge Judy.
What happened is that I had just purchased my insurance from a previous insurance.
I already had the insurance, and beside that, I paid $2,500 from my own pocket.
They told me they were going to send me hard copies by mail, which I never received.
To fix my car, and I hadn't called for 2 weeks.
So when I called, they said my insurance was canceled for non-payment.
Also, I had the emotional distress about this.
There's no damage to his car, just a little scratch.
I didn't get any money. The body shop received that amount to fix the car.
The damage is in